Hello and welcome to another Zach Garnish video. Today we are doing another UK Nats format match for you. So this will be Altergeist versus Strikestar. Obviously, with the popularity of Strikestar at YCS New Jersey, we thought it would be necessary in order to bring this match to you, and it was also requested by a fair few people as well. So Callum will be playing Altergeist. He's very comfortable with the deck. I'm going to be playing Strikestar. I thought I was fairly comfortable with Trickstar, not so comfortable with Strikestar. So here's Callum's list. You can see a few changes from previously. We've finally got it down to 40. He's not actually playing Torrential or Strike anymore. He has got the Ghost Bells and Mind Crushers in here as well. Mind Crush being very important against a lot of the meta. Plus, you get to stop your opponent's evenly match, which often is just a huge blowout if they're main decking it, and can be a serious issue for the deck. So a few nice updates for it there. As for the Strikestar list, this is basically copied and pasted from virtually every top 32 New Jersey list that we saw. A few people changed up the side deck a bit. I mean, some people weren't running Cherries, some people were running Sphere modes, that kind of thing. But as for the main deck, very, very standard. A few of them were only running 2 Licorice, we went with 3 based on the advice seen in the deck profiles by Tim Cox and Luke Parks. So that's the deck lists themselves. Let's get into the matches. So an important thing to note before we get things kicked off, I haven't had much time to test the deck because my final university exams are up next week, so I'm going to be playing the Strikestar on the right, and I assume it operates very similar to original Trickstars. However, following this match, we're going to say that it acts a little bit more like Sky Strikers in itself. So we see Candina after Light Stage and Double Licorice come down. The Candina there should not have been negated by the impermanence because it changed location, so we made that small mistake here. So there's no set reincarnation, which would have been the go-to option there. Callum will be taking damage for every search that he makes though. So having that Double Licorice on board definitely applies some level of pressure that he's going to have to deal with at some point. So he swings into the Licorice there, ends on set 3, and then passes the turn, kicks things off in the standby phase with a Manifestation targeting a Marionetta, and uses a Spoofing to shuffle away his Manifestation, Ash for the Spoofing, but obviously with the word changing, that does mean that the Marionetta will still be summoned out from the graveyard. So we use the Light Stage on the other set, turns out to be a Protocol, so it just flips it straight up. There's an Ash for the Candina here. He's just trying to maintain that board presence at the moment. So we're going to a Holy Angel here, which I probably should have done post-battle phase. The thinking was, you'll see we've got the Engage, so I could have set up a Kagari, but I forgot to take into account the fact that he had a Protocol live, so then I didn't want to make the Kagari. So what I should have done was attacked with both of the monsters, then use the Hornet Bit to make the Kagari, take back the Engage, and then go into the Shizuku in the end phase, but instead you see I just go token and then it's straight into Shizuku so I don't trigger an effect, and then attack over the Marionetta, and then attack directly with the Holy Angel. So in the end phase, Shizuku does resolve. He doesn't have a negate for it this time, so I go for a Widow Anchor. Generally a more useful card than Afterburners. However, with my current board setup, obviously I can't really do much with it, but I wouldn't have been able to get the Surge without leaving that Kagari up on the field. So Callum starts off with a Marionetta this turn. I believe he sets a second Protocol here, and he's going to turn the one Protocol on the field into the Marionetta in the grave. So he's not seen enough access for Multi-Faker so far, but he does now have a trap set, which means if he does get into a Multi-Faker, which he can do with Spoofing, then he'll be able to trigger it. So my turn, I start by using the Light Stage on the Unknown set. I'm just debating how to attempt to deal with this board. Obviously the option is available to go into a link 3 and then use the Widow Anchor. The concern is that because he has a protocol and all of your link 3s have effects that you want to trigger, that it could be an issue. Although potentially I could have gone into Trisbana, stolen his monster and found a way to make another link play underneath it in order to deal with the back row, but then again that's still gonna be an issue unless I can get rid of his monsters first. So just swinging in, we see Marionetta turned into Multi-Faker with the spoofing followed up by Protocol there. Multi-Faker brings out Silquatus. So we get the replay. He's going to use Silk to return Holy Angel and his Multi-Faker, and then attacking over the Marionetta there. Just means he doesn't get the app back so early. But having this one Shizuku on the field and knowing that he'll take out the Kagari is an issue. Again, this is a point where you could go straight into Kagari in order to trigger the protocol, but then it does mean that there are no options for you with your tokens or anything like that. So I think I'm without a normal summon here, which is the real issue. So during the end phase, he flips up a Mind Crush, takes out the Widow Anchor there, and reveals, I think, a Waves and a Hornet in my hand. So again, he's going to use the Marionetta to turn itself into the other Marionetta in defense position. He doesn't actually have a way to put out enough board presence at the moment, so he's just going to pass on that. However, I can kill it with the Shizuku. So we start off with Light Stage on the set manifestation, and then he's going to use spoofing to return it and get a Kunkuri, and then he'll get to summon out the Marionetta from grave. That will trigger the Faker, so suddenly his board is going to become massive. Faker gets to search for the Silquatus. He doesn't have to worry about Ray Recursion in the Strike Star deck. The attack obviously negated by the Kunkuri there. Basically at this point, if you see this kind of board presence and you don't have a way to clear it, you can probably just scoop at this point. I've elected to play it out a little bit so I can get some more idea of how capable the Strike Star deck is of dealing with a board that is this big. Obviously we've got the effect negate going, the Kunkuris negating the Light Stage, and then he's also got that Silk Bounce, which he's just used already. So during his own turn, he builds up a Hextia. He's then going to use Marionetta to turn the Kunkuri into a Meliseek, a Multi-Faker, which will summon out a Silquatus. He can then start attacking in with all of his monsters, putting some serious damage on the table, and meaning that I am now behind by 2,700. So just totaling up the life point damage here. So I believe we're not even halfway through the game at this point, so obviously there's no chance that we're going to be focused on just like chipping away at his life points in order to win the game in time. Instead, he's very much in the position where he's got the double negate from Hextia alone. He uses an Ashen Reincarnation there, which is unfortunate because I wanted to get rid of one of the Hextias at least with it. And he uses the Protocol Silquatus Bounce in order to get rid of another of my sets. So he gets the Marionetta to hand. He hasn't committed a normal summon yet, so he makes that normal summon, sets a manifestation, and sets 2 more back row. My turn, I'm on 1 draw, the Light Stage, and the set card. Play the Light Stage on the set, it turns out to be the spoofing there. Play the Waves on a set. He'll use a Hextia to negate it and chain the Hornet bit there. The idea is to try and force him to get rid of both of those to get rid of at least one of the Hextiers, but it's just not going to happen. Brings out the token, and he gets his manifestation to bring out the Multi-Figure, which gets another summon, which is for the Meliseek. Note that Hextier isn't even once per turn, so as long as he keeps putting something pointed at it, that it points to, then he'll just be able to keep playing. So with that, I just don't have enough resources to get back into this game, so I pass, I give him the game there, and we'll go straight into Game 2. So very much the case that I was just behind on resources, ahead of life points for most of the game, but then that's not enough if you're not going to build up a board in order to take it from your opponent, especially given that the game was not going on long enough for it. So you're going to see, probably the major mistake here is, as I said, I'm used to playing Trickstar in the sort of go first, build up a stunny board, and then leave it sense. So I go Light Stage, Candina here, so obviously I've taken turn 1, add the Licorice. But yeah, I definitely recommend going second with the Trickstar deck. So Licorice comes out and there's a set, and then plays past. Just because if you want to build up anything reasonable, you have to go into your Sayuja play, and doing that is so susceptible to hand traps, it's probably not really worth it. So you may as well go second, you have the Disrupts from Reincarnation if you need them for later turns, but for your first turn you can just put out a lot of damage and deal with big boards there. So we see Marionetta come in, I believe it's set a Protocol. And then we have a Mysterious set there. He's going to crash with the Licorice. And during my standby phase, he'll flip the Protocol, Reincarnation is chained, and then he's going to use Wiretap to shuffle away that Reincarnation. So unfortunately not getting rid of the Multi-Figure in hand, and that brings up the Silcatus. Then I continue with my turn, I use Engage to add Hornet. So he's got the 2 Disrupts here, so normal summon the Candina, which will be negated, then use the Hornet to summon the token. Token goes into Kagari, which can add back the Engage, but he has a Ghost spell for that as well, so Disrupts for both of the plays that I attempted to make here. I'll attempt to attack into the Silk and then get Kagari bounced back into the hand, but it's a resource that you would lose anyway, so I end on a set 1. He's going to start off with normal summon Marionetta, setting a manifestation there, and he just sets another one. He attacks him with both of these. During his end phase I flip a twin. I believe I discard an evenly there, so potentially I could have kept it, got rid of an additional resource. I think the idea was that we know he's playing Wiretap, so what's the point in wasting a battle phase for nothing, really? So here we see Lilybell attacks in. Callum thinks it's attacking the Silk, but it's not. It's going to be attacking directly. So he summons back the Silk in the wrong position. It should be an attack position. So we've adjusted the life points to account for this. The Lilybell, when it attacked in, added back the Licorice, which could then summon itself and attack it over the Silcatus there. He adds back a manifestation from the Silcatus. And then I end on a set 1, a Licorice, and a stage. So we're actually getting close to time at this point. I am ahead on life points by 800 currently. So he's going to set a Protocol. And then he's going to attempt to crash here. I want to try and get more damage in, so I flip the Reincarnation, but he has an Ash for it. So we just both lose our resources. But I do have the Reincarnation effect to summon the Licorice. Which can potentially be a problem for him. So during the standby phase, he flips a manifestation and then uses Protocol to shuffle it back, so he gets to add his way into a Marionetta for next turn. Yeah, you see the Licorice has been put into hand by mistake, it should be on the field there, so we just put it back. And life point should be following correctly from this. And then his manifestation resolves, he summons the Silcatus, and then he gets the Multi-Figure into a Kunkuri. Kunkuri will then negate the Licorice, so no more damage from the Licorice there. Use the light stage on the set, it's the Protocol, so now we know what we have to deal with. But we're getting very close to time. I think at this point we have about a minute left on the clock. You'll see a lot of Trickstar players will just use up the entire turn if they're in this sort of situation, because I mean, something like 10 seconds per phase change is pretty reasonable. But we decided, you know, we may as well just push through it, so I just kind of just go in. I figure if I can put enough damage on the board, it doesn't matter how many actions I take, as long as he gets a turn, then there's no reason for, like, you can't really complain about stalling if you've pushed through your turn so much that your opponent actually has a turn as well. We see Lilybell attack, return to hand, negated when it attempts to summon itself again, and then Licorice has changed to defense position because it hasn't attacked this turn and it was summoned last turn. And then during his turn, all he can do is attack with the Marionetta, so that's going to be time on the round, and game 2 goes to Trickstar or Strikestar. So an interesting matchup. There are definitely a lot of things that we've both learned from it. I've been learning the most, obviously, because I'm very much new to the deck, whereas Callum's been playing Altergeist for quite a while now. He's very comfortable with it. But the end of match proceedings, you can see it up here, definitely having a huge impact. Just look for random clock cards, you know, Clock Tower Prison, famous for reaching a game state at which you just sort of win. And that's very much how the game sort of feels at the moment. If you put enough damage on the board and you just sort of carry on making your plays, eventually you just reach a point where you can win if you've done enough damage. So thanks for watching this video. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions on changes to the decks, changes to the plays that you would make. Be sure to point out if there are any mistakes that we haven't mentioned in the video already. Don't forget to check out the other UK Nats format videos. We've got some stuff with True Draco, with Spiral, with Pure, Sky Strikers, all that goodness. And also don't forget to check out the Top Deck series. I know I haven't been uploading it much recently because of my exams, but they'll be over very soon, at which point, if you've got any deck lists that you've taken to regional or higher events, I'd be very happy to showcase them to the world and get your opinions on them. So I'll see you guys in the next video.